Hello, everybody. All right, welcome to the Mikestand. Thursday night. So I don't know what's going on with Tim. You know, I guess he's busy. He may be busy with something, but anyways. So tonight, of course, it's our the last night of our newscast for the week. Tonight, of course, we'll probably be going over Indie Comic Showcase. Um, Going over the Indie Comic Showcase to from Bleeding Fool, looking over some comics that are coming out, as well as, of course, the wrestling wrap up and the This Day in Each History. Um, as always, guys, if you haven't already, if you guys can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. We'll try to answer questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. With that being said, we'll give it a few minutes, give Tim a chance to see if he'll show up or see who else might pop in here. Gummy bears bouncing here and there and everywhere. Find adventure that beyond compare. They are the gummy bears. They are the gummy bears. Life is like a hurricane here in Duckburg. Race cars, lasers, aeroplanes. It's a duck blur. Might solve a mystery or rewrite history. DuckTales. Woo! You've been waiting, I've been waiting. DuckTales. Woo! You've been waiting, I've been waiting. DuckTales. And in the danger out to find you, grab onto some DuckTales. Woo! You've been waiting, I've been waiting. DuckTales. Woo! You've been waiting, I've been waiting. DuckTales. Let's see, one more thing here. So he's probably ended. All right, so with that, so we're gonna go ahead and get started here. Then we're coming up on the 4 minute mark here. So as I said, we're gonna be looking at the Indie Comic Showcase from Bleeding Fool here, number 269. Let's see now. Indie Comic Showcase number 269. Together Forever, The Chosen, Juan and Charlie Cotamars, article by Chris Braley, published yesterday on the 17th. So with that, let's go ahead get going here. All right, so let's get into this then. All right. Welcome back to another installment of Indie Comic Showcase, the weekly blog where we signal boost a few truly independent comics that are currently crowdfunding their projects, crowdsourcing their funding in some way, or just simply or completely self-publishing on their own. Every little bit of support for these creators matters, from a single dollar pledge to the $25 bundle, and of course the higher tiers are usually fun too. Even if you can't back a campaign or buy a book, you can share or tweet about these projects to your friends and followers. On Indie Comics Showcase, we interview the creators, show off some art, and tell you how you can check out the project for yourself. Below, we have some outstanding crowdfunding campaigns this week for you to learn about, enjoy, and hopefully support by backing one or more of them. Thanks for checking these out and for being the best part of Indie Comic Showcase. Let's jump in. The Chosen One by Thomas Gorant. So let me, of course, go grab that link to put in the chat here. This one seems interesting, to say the least. Let's see. Let's find the link there. And of course, it's on Fund My Comic. And it's by Paranoid American, who I believe was on RJ's show the other night. The Chosen One. All right, so here's the link if you guys want to go check that out. There it is. It's on Fund My Comic, of course. So, that should give you guys some indication to go check that out. As always, guys, if you haven't already, you guys can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. We'll try to answer the questions to the best. I'll try to answer the questions best of my ability. So let's get into this article then, or this portion of the article. The Chosen One and the Secret Society of Pod Gods by Thomas Gorant, of course. So, Thomas Gorant, who is also known as Paranoid American, I guess. All right, so Chris Braley, welcome to Indie Comic Showcase. Thomas, introduce our readers to your book, The Chosen One. Thomas Gorant. The Chosen One is a comic about conspiracy podcasters who accidentally obtain supernatural powers from a mysterious Saturnian cube that lands in Juan's backyard. A misdelivery from quote-unquote Abraxas Prime. Together with his friends, Juan discovers a secret society of podcasters shaping reality as we know it from behind the scenes. Ventures into magic, Gnosticism, occultism, and genitalia jokes. Anyways, as we get ready to continue on here, let's see. All right. Chris, how did you come up with the idea and led to your decision to self-publish? Thomas, the idea for Chosen One was to put actual podcasters into a comic so they can face some of the most outlandish and extreme topics head on. This book also gives a great opportunity to feature cameos of well and lesser known podcasters, um, comedians, and occult researchers. The choice to self publish is born out of necessity and has become a way of life. Every single Paranoid American book is self published, The Chosen One included. Juan Ayala. That's the name of the main character here, I guess. Hmm. All right. Let's see. Chris asked, "What sort of readers is it aimed at?" Thomas, this book caters to readers 13 and up, especially those interested in conspiracies, occult research, podcasting, and crude comedy. It's categorized as an quote unquote occult adventure comic. Unquote on the adventure part. Some very interesting eye candy there, or um, let's see what's it called in anime? Fan service. That's what it is. Fan service. Chris, tell me about your style and creative process. Thomas, the creative process for this book involves deep dives into topics like metaphysics, simulation history, or simulation theory, hidden history, and more through a lens of absurdist comedy. The topics are serious, but our approach isn't. Almost sounds like a conspiracy theory parody, if you really think about it. Chris, talk about your creative team that contributed to this project. Um, Thomas, the Chosen One is a brainchild of Paranoid American, aka Thomas Gorens, and Juan Ayala. The pencils and inks are from the now infamous Igor Shakal, um, who is in parentheses the lead artist of Eric July's Rippaverse, unquote. Colors are by Guy Sabino, and the content of the series is fueled by direct feedback of the people featured in each issue. Issue 2 was written with some direction from Tim Foyle, Tim Foyle Hat, or Tin Foil Hat, a trio of Sam Tripoli, Johnny, and XG, along with notes from Pimp on a Blimp, Prawn Time number 99, and Alex Stein. Chris, how far along is the book? Thomas, like all Paranoid American crowdfunding campaigns, this book is already 100% complete. It just needs a budget to print a decent quantity to get the cover price down. We believe in our stories and products so much. Paranoid American only raises money for the printing phase of the project, never the production. The goal is any funds left over from the print run will give us a head start on future issues. All right. Nice artwork here. All right. Hmm. Oops. Oh. All right. Anyways, Um, Getting back to the article here. Chris, what have you been learning from crowdfunding throughout this campaign? Thomas, constantly promoting these series to more people on more platforms is the best way forward. We don't have a budget for traditional promotion campaigns and social media ad buys. So relying on and supporting crowdfunded projects and websites has been a blessing. Many of these comics would never see the light of day without crowdfunding. Then Chris, what are your plans beyond this book? Thomas, The Chosen Wand is planned to be a six-part series for the initial story arc, with a goal of printing a trade paperback (TBB) to combine all six issues into a single book with additional prologue and epilogue. Um, the potential for this series is endless, especially considering each book can serve as an introduction to a specific theory and or podcaster personality. All right. So, Chris, any special features in crowdfunding campaign you'd like to share? Thomas, um, the Chosen Wand #2 will have some exclusive crowdfunding only rewards, such as the Alex Stein cover, foil covers, and handcrafted wooden box to store the Chosen Wand comics in. Chris, anything else you would like to share with our readers before we sign off? Thomas, Paranoid American has been self-publishing comics about conspiracy theories, occult research, and other taboos since 2012. With a background in music, military animation, Disney for 10 years, Thomas Gorence is no stranger to manifesting ideas into tangible products for the world to enjoy. Everything we do has the goal of providing content and views that aren't covered um, by any form of media yet. Chris, thanks, Thomas. Good luck on the campaign. All right, so now we get to the next book here. Um, Charlie goes to next book. Charlie goes to Mars, aka Skinheads in Space. So let's go grab that link. By T Weird. And this is a Kickstarter campaign. Mm-hmm. All right. And here's the link to this one, so they can get the. All right, so there's the link to that one. If you guys want to go check that one out. All right, so let's get to the article then here. All right, so by T Weird. So Chris Braley, welcome to ICST. Tell me the pitch for Charlie Goes to Mars. T Weird. Charlie Goes to Mars is literally about a guy called Charlie who goes to Mars. Simple enough, right? um, Only he is drugged, abducted, and bundled into a spacecraft. Okay, space abductions. No consent, no questions, no health and safety protocols, nothing. Why? He's a televised guinea pig designed to draw attention and garner support for quote unquote additional spending, okay, by global government. Um, so we got kind of another conspiracy theory going here. In essence, it's a psyop as carefully curated, choreographed, and nicely fed through the media to an eager public thirsty for news and entertainment. Once the media machine kicks in, Charlie is utterly screwed, or at least to begin with, spoiler, he gets his own back. All right. Chris. Um Chris, where did the idea for this comic come from and made you decide to crowdfund the publishing for it? T. Conspiracy theories mostly. People have their reasons to mistrust the government and mainstream media. Some of the wild things that happened during COVID and more recently with Princess Kate underpin lack of trust people have in their institutions. Self publishing seems like the way to go. And the Confiscate thing, for better or for worse, got me and a couple of friends thinking, seems like fun. All right. So this week, I guess Chris has decided to focus on writers who focused on conspiracy theories. Ah, all right, continue on here. Let's see. Chris, what kind of comic readers is this suited for? T, not for kids at all. Definitely pitched for people who enjoy satire, send ups, and roasts of media personalities, and people who appreciate un-PC humor. Um, that's politically correct for those of you who don't get it. With that said, it's not a hate fest by any stretch of the imagination. The story at its core has a moral center that should appeal to most people. Chris, tell us about your creative style. T, it's really simple. I am usually inspired by something going on in the news or some part of history. In this case, I've been meaning to do something about the skinhead 80s, 90s subculture for a while. In parentheses, RACOI and some of the other negative aspects um, of that scene, unparenthesed. I write the script with no dialogue, but I tell the story in a descriptive way, but not to the degree that suffocates the artist. I want the artist to put their spin on it. Once that's done and I have the art, I do the dialogue. Sometimes the output is remarkably different from what I intended. Hmm. Seems like he throws some dice, doesn't he? All right. What's your production workflow like? Chris asks. T responds, the art for my stories takes a while. When I write a story, it is typically between 50 to 60 pages. That takes an artist a year to do. Thereafter, it takes me another 2 to 3 months of rewrites and editing to get the final copy. Roberto Jaramillo is a talented artist who has that line between comic book stylization and caricature. I love what he does, and he was perfect for this story. And just a reminder to everybody, if you haven't already, you guys can like and share the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So with that, we'll continue on here. Just check to see if anybody else has dropped in yet. Nope. Chris, what have you been learning about creating through your self-publishing endeavors? T, my earlier works were awful, and I suspect that one day I will look back on this book and go, ugh. Hopefully, I will never be satisfied and never be happy. Crowdfunding is brutal, I think, unless it's the fantasy, sexy, or, in smaller quotes, stock, detective, thriller, horror variety. You have an uphill battle. One of these days, I'll do something more commercial, but for now, I want to do the weird stuff. All right. I guess hence the name T Weird as his name, huh? Are there any more stories to tell? Many. I have 3 more books coming out this year. Pom Pom the Brave for kids. Aria, fantasy, sexy, violent, and GHP. Oh boy, it will get me canceled. In parentheses there. Okay. Chris, any special features on this campaign? T, I'm a sucker for bonus tracks and additional material you get in box sets by bands. But when it comes to my own stuff, I prefer to deliver the basic product with no frills. Ooh la la. Chris, anything else you would like to share with our readers before we sign off? Chris asks, T, please support indie comics and give Neobium Comics a look once in a while. And then Chris says, good luck, T. Okay, so the last one here, Together Forever by J. Michael Donahue. I'll go grab that link in a moment here. Let's see if anybody's popped in yet to say hi. No, I guess not. All right. Anyways. All right, so let me go grab the link here. And this one's another Kickstarter. So we had the one Fund My Comic and the other 2 were Kickstarters, okay? There's the link for that if you guys want to go check that out. And of course, as always, guys, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and we will try to answer questions and I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So there's that book, Together Forever, on Kickstarter. So I want to go check that out. So let's get into the article here. That looked a little horrific there, at least on the left side there. So Chris Braley, welcome to ICS. What can you tell me about your Kickstarter comic, Together Forever? J. Michael Donahue. Together Forever is a terrifying tale of love and loss that proves one person's nightmare is another person's miracle. It's aimed at teens and up, and horror lovers. Chris, what led you to your decision to self-publish it? J. Michael, Together Forever was previously produced and published as a 3-page comic on hyperepics.com and is being reimagined into a 27-page horror story. There you go, right there. I mean, I know that's shadow and all that, but it almost like, because of how she's got her arms like that, it's almost like she's bound by something right there. Chris, how would you describe your storytelling approach here? J. Michael, my style of storytelling is creating tales of horror that flip the reader's expectation on their head. I also love writing stories about different perspectives on a similar event. Chris, who is your creative team? J. Michael. J. Paul Sheik is the first artist I worked with in comics and the original artist for the first iteration of Together Forever. He's come back to help reimagine the gruesome tale. Roman Stevens is a colorist, and I've worked with him on a few projects, and Justin Birch on letters, Trevor Henderson on cover art, and Second Rocket Comics with cover dress. All right. Okay. Let's continue on here. All right. What's your production workflow like, and how far along is the book? J. Michael, the book is about 75% drawn, 50% colored, and about 20% lettered. The production's still going. With production still going, the cover artwork and dress are all complete. All right. So it sounds like they have the cover ready. Oh, look at that. Yeah, that's not really a nice thing to be dealing with, is it? Like having your guts bleeding out on you like that. Chris, what have you been learning from self-publishing through this process? J. Michael, it takes a community to come together to make a project successful. I like to live by a motto that if we don't support each other, who will? Good point. Chris, what are your plans beyond this book? Are there more stories to tell? J. Michael, I have 2 other books in different levels of production that I plan to bring to Kickstarter later this year in 2024 and early 2025. Chris, good luck on this one, and please let us know when you launch your next campaign. All right, so there we go. Now, thanks. That's it for this installment. If you're a creator ramping up your own campaign or have a comic available to purchase online and you want to be featured in our weekly column, click here. And follow Indie Comic Showcase on Twitter at Indie Comics, and reach out to them for more eyes on your crowdfunding comic project. Until next time, support Indie Comics. Alrighty then. Oh, there we go with that one. Let me go back to a few of these. So these are the campaigns that we looked at tonight. The Chosen One, which is on Fund My Comic from Thomas Gorence, aka Paranoid American. If you guys want to go check that out, there's the link for it. Charlie Goes to Mars, aka Skinheads in Space, by T Weird. At the Kickstarter campaign. If you guys want to go check that one out, there it is. Anyways. And finally, Together Forever by J. Michael Donahue on another project on Kickstarter. There you go with that one. So now that we've got done with all that, I think we'll get right into the wrestling wrap up. And of course, we do have quite a bit of news. As of course this weekend you got a couple of big events coming up this weekend. AW has Dynamite, and there's some big news that's come out of there as well. A couple of news items. TNA has its Rebellion pay-per-view on Saturday. AEW has Dynasty on Sunday. First off, with WWE news, looks like they're saying that Roman Reigns will probably be out indefinitely. He's not hurt or anything. It's just that I know one, he's been slated to be on a movie project for one thing, and albeit there has been some reports that he will be he might be making an appearance at SummerSlam. Now, while he's not going to be on TV for a while, he still will be involved in the creative direction of the Bloodline storyline. So, I guess we'll just have to stay tuned for that. Also, Drew Gulak may be on his way out of the WWE, as Ronda Rousey had recently made some accusations that, I guess, a while back, he apparently, I guess, grabbed her drawstring, when they were in the hall together, and she didn't take too kindly to that. And now it looks like WWE may be looking to let Drew Gulak go, as he's been taken off TV. He's been taken out of some storylines that he was involved with. And it's been reported that the talent and the announcers have been basically told not to even mention his name. So there'll be more to come, I'm sure, on that story. Also, in case you were wondering what's been going on with Vince McMahon, we haven't heard too much from him. Of course, everybody knows about the legal mess he's got in. Well, apparently, he's been among the things I've heard include he's been hanging out with Donald Trump at times. Also, he was on a recent Adopt a Pet tour where I guess he went over to some countries, picked up some pets, and then brought them back to give to people. So that's all of the WWE news I got for you. Now, on the AEW side of things, on last night's Dynamite, which is, of course, the Go Home Dynamite, there were quite a few things that happened. Of course, Jon Moxley made his return to Dynamite, having recently come off of a big win at last weekend's New Japan Windy City event, as he defeated Tetsuya Naito at that event to become the to become the new IWGP champion. And during that promo, of course, he laid out a challenge to Don Callis family member Powerhouse Hobbs, as things seem to be heating up between the Blackpool Combat Club and the Don Callis family. We'll obviously talk a little bit more about that later on. Later, a little in a bit here. Also on last night's Dynamite, of course, Chris Jericho and Hook came face to face, as Jericho had asked Taz to broker a meeting because he's trying to, Jericho is trying to get Hook to sit under his learning tree, and I think Hook just kind of had it with him, as Jericho once again looks like he's turning heel again. And it wasn't, and I know a lot of analysts are saying that this is getting too much of him, like going back and forth like this between heel. I mean, during the interview there, or during the little, during the promo, as it were, at one point, Chris Jericho ended up pushing Taz down, and of course, the Excalibur and Tony Schiavone were pointing out that in his later years, of course, Taz has had some knee issues, and that really got Hook upset to the point where he just basically said, "Hey, get the hell out of my ring." So, as the night went on, of course, some of the matches, in the first match of the evening, in a mixed tag team match, the House of Black members Brody King and TBS champion Julia Hart defeated TNT champion Adam Copeland and Willow Nightingale by referee's decision. Of course, Willow Nightingale will be challenging Julia Hart for the TBS championship at this Sunday's Dynasty, and Copeland will be part of a 3-man team involving also Ring of Honor world champion Mark Briscoe and New Japan Strong Openweight champion Eddie Kingston take on all 3 members of the House of Black of Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews. The new elite here of Continental Champion Kazuchika Okada and the EVPs, the Young Bucks, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, defeated in a 6-man tag match in which they defeated Okada's opponent at Dynasty Pac, in which he'll be defending along with Daniel Garcia and Penta El Zero Miedo. Diono Purrazzo defeated Mariah May in a match in which May and Toni Storm looked to beat up on Purrazzo until Thunder Rosa came out to get involved. Orange Cassidy defeated Shane Taylor, and after the match, Shane Taylor Promotions, of course, Shane Taylor, Anthony Ogogo, and Lee Moriarty decided to try to triple team Cassidy, as Christopher Daniels and Matt Sydal were trying to come out to help Cassidy out. They were jumped by Trent Beretta as his heel turn. And in the main event of the evening, saw Will Ospreay defeat Claudio Castagnoli, which further fueled up the heat between Blackpool Combat Club and Don Callis family, as the other members of the Don Callis family of Powerhouse Hobbs, Kyle Fletcher, and Konosuke Takeshita were trying to beat down Claudio Castagnoli, of course, until Jon Moxley came out. Will Ospreay, who would kind of, it was just kind of getting out of the ring. He was just saying, he was even going, well, what's this? I don't want this. Ospreay, who's of course has a match with Bryan Danielson this Sunday on Dynasty, and he wants it to be a fair match, but apparently the Don Callis family is more interested in trying to protect their investment, as it were, as Don Callis put it. Let's see now. Speaking, of course, of this Sunday, let's go over a few things here. Already signed for Saturday's Collision show. In again the lead up to Dynasty. Lead up for Dynasty coming up this weekend. The Blackpool Combat Club deal of Claudio Castagnoli and Bryan Danielson will be taking on the Don Callis family duo of Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita. The Acclaimed will be taking on Austin Colton Gunn, the Guns, in another 6-man tag match. This time, Pac will be teaming with FTR, as they will be taking on the Elite, Kazuchika Okada and Matthew Nicholas Jackson. And then in another 6-man tag match, Adam Copeland, Eddie Kingston, and Mark Briscoe will be taking on Action Andretti and Top Flight. Now, coming up this Sunday at Dynasty, coming up this Sunday for Dynasty, 0 Hour, the pre-show, which will be on YouTube. We'll see Katsuyori Shibata and Orange Cassidy teaming up to take on Shane Taylor Promotions of Lee Moriarty and Shane Taylor. And in a match that is said to be unifying the AEW World Trios and Ring of Honor World 6-Man tag titles. AEW World Trios champions Billy Gunn and the Acclaimed will be taking on Bullet Club Gold of Jay White, Austin Colton Gunn, who are currently the Ring of Honor World 6-Man tag team champions. Now that's on the pre-show. And then on the main show for Dynasty, also, as I said earlier, Jon Moxley put out the challenge to Powerhouse Hobbs for next Wednesday. We don't know yet if Hobbs has accepted. But anyways, go for Dynasty now. The card for Dynasty is as follows. Hook will be defending the FTW title in an FTW rules match against Chris Jericho. Roderick Strong of the Undisputed Kingdom will be defending the international title against Kyle O'Reilly. Kazuchika Okada will be defending the AEW Continental title versus Pac in a continental rules match, which basically means no interference. Nobody in the corner, no cornermen, no interference. For the AEW Women's World title, Toni Storm defends against former champ Thunder Rosa. In a 6-man tag that we mentioned earlier, House of Black of Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews take on the threesome of Ring of Honor World Champion Mark Briscoe, TNT Champion Adam Copeland, and New Japan Strong Openweight Champion Eddie Kingston. In the finals of the AEW Tag Title Tournament, which will now be competed in a ladder match, you have the Young Bucks of Matthew and Nicholas Jackson taking on FTR, with the winner not only becoming the new AEW World Tag Team Champions, but also becoming, holding that title for the third time. So, in a house rules match, Julia Hart defends the AEW TBS title against Willow Nightingale, with, of course, Mercedes Moné waiting in the wings to challenge the winner of that match at I believe it's Double or Nothing is the next in the match of the best to determine who the best in the world is. Have Bryan Danielson of the Blackpool Combat Club taking on the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson of the Blackpool Combat Club taking on the aerial assassin Will Ospreay of the Don Callis family. And in the main event for the AEW World Title, you have Samoa Joe taking on Swerve Strickland. So there we go with that. Now, of course, this week we have some TNT news as well as, of course, this weekend. But before we get to this weekend on tonight's Impact, so TNA will have its Rebellion pay-per-view, and we'll go over that in a moment here. On tonight's Impact, as it's the go-home Impact before in the go-home Impact before this weekend's Rebellion. You have one half of Decay, Rosemary, with Havoc in her corner, taking on one half of the TNA Knockout World Tag Team Champions, Jody Threat, with Danny Luna and her corner, Spitfire. That'll be a match going on tonight. Guido of the FBI, the full blood of the Italians, will be taking on Hammerstone. And in their contractual rematch for the not the contract, but in the match for the TNA World Tag Team Championship, the System of Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers will be taking on the Motor City Machine Guns of Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley in what was basically Sabin and Shelley's final match with TNA, as we had mentioned before, over the last few weeks. Sabin and Shelley, their contract came up. Their contract came up at the end of March. They were no longer in TNA now, as of now, and all reports are indicating they'll be heading to AEW. Now, with that, of course, that's tonight, and then this weekend, as we said, for TNA, they'll be having their Rebellion pay-per-view on Saturday. And let's go over what to expect on Saturday there. As I find it. So on the pre-show, on the countdown to Rebellion on Saturday, you will see in action, in six-man tag action, the Rascals all coming together as Trey Miguel, Zachary Wentz, and Myron Reed. Myron Reed is, of course, been associated with the Rascals. He is kind of part of the Rascals team on the independent circuit, taking on the team of former TNA World Tag Team Champions Ace Austin and Chris Bay, ABC, and Leon Slater. And then for the Knockouts World Tag Team titles, the Spitfire of Danny Luna and Jody Threat defend against Decay of Havoc and Rosemary. Now that's, of course, on the pre-show. Then on the main show for Rebellion, Rick Swann will be taking on Joe Hendry in a feud that was sparked by AJ Francis. In a last man standing match, Josh Alexander takes on Hammerstone in what would be the rubber match of their series, and as Alexander also looks to retrieve his headgear. In a Full Metal Mayhem match, Frankie Kazarian takes on Eric Young. For the TNA X Division title, Mustafa Ali will be defending against Jake Something. For the TNA World Tag Team titles, Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers of the System will be taking on Speedball Mountain, Mike Bailey, and Trent Seven. For the TNA Knockout World title, Jordan Grace defends against Steph DeLander, who will have Matt Cardona in her corner. And in the main event, we'll see for the TNA World Title, the Systems Moose will be taking on Nick Nemeth. So that's all we got for you guys in terms of the wrestling wrap up. So now, with today being Thursday, April 18th, 2024. Let's take a look back at this day. Each history. 44, 74, let's see, 09, and 2004. Okay. So first off, I'm going to head back 80 years ago today, back to 1944. As on this date back in 1944, 80 years ago today, the 5th issue of Goofy Comics from Standard Comics went on sale on this date back in 1944. It sold for 10 cents, 48 pages. Of course, this is not to be confused with Disney's Goofy. They just simply called it Goofy Comics back then. So 80 years ago today, back in 1944, the 5th issue of Goofy Comics from Standard went on sale on this date back in 1944. Moving ahead to 1974, 50 years ago today, on this date, 50 years ago today, in 1974, Fritz von Erich would regain the NWA American title in Dallas from the Texan, who was being portrayed at the time under a mask, was Blackjack Mulligan under a mask. So on this date, back in 1974, 50 years ago today, Fritz von Erich would regain the NWA American title from the Texan. Moving on to the next piece of niche history. On this date in 2004, let's pull that up, 20 years ago today. Oh, wait, actually, that's the wrong one. That's actually the wrong one. On this date in 2004, distributed by Toho, Digital Frontiers Appleseed would premiere in Japanese theaters on this date in 2004. It was 2004 animated post-apocalyptic action film directed by Shinji Aramaki. So on this date, based on the Appleseed manga created by Masamune Shiro. So on this date, 2004, the Japanese animated post-apocalyptic action film Appleseed would premiere in Japanese theaters. And finally, on this date in 2009, Barbary Coast, climate change, a hoax, Mike. Oh boy, trolling. On this date in 2009, Walt Disney's Yin Yang Yo completed its run on Disney XD, the Toon Disney XD animated series Yin Yang Yo would complete its run on this date in Yeah, just a general question. I see that. I think, yeah, I think they make a bigger deal out of it than it actually is. That's my view on it. So I think it's ultimately just more or less a power play. But anyways, we're wrapping things up. Sorry, mate. That's all right. With that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. Of course, should hopefully have Tim on with me tomorrow. I have Tim Olsen scheduled with me tomorrow night, and we will be, of course, doing our weekly look back through comics history, looking back to books, comics that went on sale in February 1940. Tomorrow will be focusing in on books that went on sale from Fawcett Comics, focusing in on primarily. Focusing in on primarily on Master Comics #1, introducing you guys to Masterman among others. So with that, I thank everybody for being here. I hope everybody enjoyed the show, and I will hopefully see you all tomorrow. Bye.